Hey everyone, welcome to Live Forum. We are so excited that you are joining us today. I am, what's my name today? Shazetta Morris, Coach She, however you desire to connect with me. Sometimes we have a whole bunch of handles for many different reasons, but who you see is who you have been experiencing all of this time. Let me go ahead and get our partners connected who is with us. Listen, honestly, some of them is probably cooking. Some of them is probably tending to their kids. Some of them is trying to get off work and get out the gym and is exhausted, but they're going to join us anyway. Let's see who is with us. Yep, we got Bree Jack. You probably is the one coming out of the gym. Look at you. Bless your whole heart. How are you today?
I'm good. I took a break from the gym today because I had to work. Work was
Okay.
long today
Okay.
after the holiday, so it's yeah, it's been
Yeah.
a lot.
Got it. All the way out of Pines. We got you. Let's see. We're going to Texas now. See what he is up to.
What's
Welcome.
going on, fam? Hey, Bree, that red hair was bomb.
Did you see me?
I saw
What
it.
red hair?
It was on my story. I said, "Call me Jessica Rabbit." I got on, I got on my sophisticated hair, but the Holy Ghost was standing on the top of my head, huh?
I want to see this red hair
Hold
because,
on. Did you just call the Holy Ghost a red wig?
Yeah, that
and he
Pentecostal fire,
moves.
it was sitting right there.
Yes, he does. Come on.
I
Yes.
remember, Shez, when you had that your photo shoot. You need a lot
Yes.
more of them too.
Yes.
But your
Hmm.
photo shoot,
Oh.
I was like, who is this?
It's me. Yes, sir. Oh, yes. Listen, let's go
Hmm.
to Delaware. Let's see if our partner is ready for us. Come
I'm out
on,
Delaware. My
E.
people's is every day. Hey, I'm out Delaware. My people's is everywhere. Oh, y'all don't know about that. That's a Delaware song.
Ma'am,
Okay.
get to rapping from the 302. Glad to see you tonight.
I'm a little dark. I don't like that. Let me move over
Why?
into the light.
Let the sun shine in. Come on,
But
we need some backdrop lighting, right?
yes. Hey guys.
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
boo.
Good to see you. And the man of God, the
Huh?
Oh Lord.
Atfi Morris, 1984.
Not
Child.
him.
He he he's here in a dark square because he's cooking. Come on, man of God. My God.
We
Listen.
cannot rise until he enters.
Yes.
Well, we know better because I said to him at 6:56, "Are you going to join us or not?" And so then here's the conflict, right? Because I want to eat.
Yeah.
I need to
Cold
eat.
blooded.
So do I want him to finish or do I want him to join us? What y'all think?
He
Mm-hmm.
can't do both and.
You know what? He does have a device, right? That he could sit up on the stove counter. He could.
Mm.
He could.
Oh, he's cooking
He
for the
could.
house, not for
Oh,
him.
no. So my husband he is so not selfish when it comes to that. He will cook and he's like, everybody's getting ready to eat. We all eating together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I
Okay.
go
All
messing
right.
up the whole flow and start snacking. He'd be like, I'm not done. I'm like, but the taste test is wonderful, sir. Come on.
Hey, did y'all have that where your mom would be cooking a cake and you wanted to taste the mix, but she wouldn't let you?
Yeah.
I always got the bowl and the spoon
I
after.
always got the bowl, honey, and
I
the
wanted the
mix.
bowl and the spoon too.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, and then now, do y'all notice that they say on the boxes that you're not supposed to eat it raw?
I ate
We
a
would have
lot of
been
things wrong.
I'd have been
Whatever.
gone a long time
Okay.
ago.
Cookie
Hey,
dough,
Chef,
Right.
before I
whatever.
get in trouble,
Yeah.
are y'all hearing this intro music again or not?
No.
I don't know why every time it comes on, I get lost in the intro. I think that's a word. Hold on.
Huh.
Let me let me get out of here and come back.
Okay.
He said bye.
I hate how
Yes.
dark I am.
Yeah, but you know what? I know that you're a light of a soul.
Huh. There's a lot of
In
words coming
outer
through tonight.
darkness, outer
Yes,
darkness.
exactly. The saints go to clapping. That's just because of what we do.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know. We'll fix it next week. But listen, I'm really excited. How was Thanksgiving for you all?
For me, Thanksgiving was very quiet.
Okay.
Thank you. You know, the devil tried. He did. You know, the enemy tried, and we just want to brush him on out the door.
Yeah.
Because I had an unexpected visitor that, you know, was a teachable moment for my child, but you know,
Okay.
they hurt people, not mine. Um, but yeah, I think I was up all day cooking, it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm.
but when I
Mm-hmm.
got in my bed, oh my, after I was done,
Mm.
I was done.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm sure. Oh man. Well, I'm glad for the teachable moment, and I'm excited that you got some rest.
Definitely.
Yeah. Bree Jack, I know I heard from you for a part of that weekend. How was the rest of the weekend with your family?
Other than any type of chaos or whatever, mixed feelings, whatever, I thoroughly enjoyed myself with my family. I had such a great time. Um, because of where they are, they're in the country, so the next neighbor is probably a half a mile down the road, and I think they have one person like across the street, but the next neighbor after that is like a half a mile down the road.
Okay.
And it's nothing but quiet. Like, the only thing you could probably hear is if an 18-wheeler is coming through, because it's a road that they got to use.
Hmm.
So the atmosphere was different, smells different, sounds different. It was very calming, very relaxing. I wasn't ready to come home. I was at one point, but then, because you know, every family got to have that one good incident. That one good incident. We can't never be good too long, but we got over it, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I
Got
enjoyed
it.
it.
Okay. Good stuff. What about you, Watson? How was Thanksgiving for you all?
Um, it was an experience.
I'm getting a lot of that. That seems like it's our core theme tonight
Yeah,
about this holiday.
it was an experience.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I'll leave it there. It was an experience. We are glad that we are in the land of the living and in the month of December, heading uh, rapidly towards the celebration of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and a brand new
Rapidly.
year.
We are running.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
what?
Hey, I am thankful that I am thankful
Yeah.
um, that I retained my composure. I think I want to say I'm happy that the Holy Ghost restrained me. He is a holder, bless his holy name. And so many things I could have said over the past 7 days. And the Lord thought better of me and gave me a tap on the shoulder, like, calm yourself down. And so I give him praise.
Amen.
And I am thankful. I am thankful for every test I passed
Come on.
in the last 10 days. Good God Almighty. It's a, listen, 7 days, 24 hours, that's 168 hours. Add 72 to that. And I have been walking in victory for 10 days. And we give the Lord praise.
Look at
Uh,
that.
Hallelujah.
Right?
Yes.
I think the Saints, I'm hearing a lot of fights over the last 7 days.
Yeah. But also,
Physical.
Shazetta,
Yes.
uh, when you were talking to me about the new educational venture and what I
Mm-hmm.
told you I was in fear of, that
Mm-hmm.
really took my mind and kind of like framed my brain for the last 72 to 96 hours. So that also helped me because now I'm looking towards the future. And it was funny because when you gave the instruction and basically told me, go try it again, go visit it again, it added purpose by obedience,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because some things we don't want to try again
Mm-hmm.
because of the things that we encountered and the people that we encountered and all that stuff. But when you get divine instruction to go try something again,
Mm-hmm.
it adds something else to your life,
Mm-hmm.
another level of value, another level of instinct, another level of strategy. And all of a sudden, as soon as you said it, I sat down and I was like, and stuff started falling into place.
Nice.
So that was another thing that helped me through these incredible last 10 days. Praise his name.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop, all rise as the mind of God enters the room. Stand up and sit down real quick.
Why do it?
Hold on, do it again, Adam. Do it again.
Bless you, sir.
I can't stand none of y'all. None.
How was y'all's Thanksgiving, Coach?
Say again.
How was y'all's Thanksgiving?
You know what? It was quiet, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful because it was quiet, and I needed. Let me say this: I was very selfish this year, and rightfully so. I needed some study time. I needed some breathing time. I needed some writing time, and we have to in the entertaining space. It takes a lot to have to be on for people, and it just takes brain space for me is where my gift and craft and all of that is. And so I needed some time to write. We had some really critical assignments for school this week. And if we're at the assignment space where if you don't pass this, you don't pass the course, and I am not having that. So I needed some concentration, got a lot of stuff done, and was just really grateful and thankful for the family, thankful for everybody.
Shazetta, for those of us in school, is it difficult when you feel like you're in a slump and you live only on the deadline of an assignment? Like you're not pushing ahead forward. You're like, I know that the deadline to finish this is at midnight, like tomorrow night. And so even though I had a week and a half, because I feel like I'm in a slump, I don't end up starting it till 2 hours before it's due. Is that a slump thing? Is that a mentality thing? I know it's an Adam thing.
No, that's a I be sick of doing homework thing because I used to do the same thing.
Okay. So I ain't
not
crazy.
too long ago. I used to be annoyed.
Or it could
That's
be
an everybody thing.
well, it could be a dopamine thing.
Why would there be a dopamine thing?
Because certain types of individuals who function in creative spaces also have
That's dysfunction.
No.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I'm hearing you right.
Here she goes.
I will say we have a tendency to need something to inspire us. So we tend to be quote unquote procrastinators, but we do the best when we wait till the last second. And what that releases is the dopamine that keeps you excited, engaged, bouncing off the wall. Boom, I got it done. After which dopamine is released. I have my feel good juju, and then I'm crashing.
Okay. Yes. And I want to ask again, is that not dysfunction?
No, it is though types of ADHD.
Okay. Because that might work towards a homework assignment, but that won't work if you're studying for a test.
It'll work wherever you work it, because what's the challenge with you all, us, is that those ADHD brainers and autism brainers, listen, let me tell you something. They are the most brilliant brains out in the world right now. You don't need a whole lot of time to do a thing. But what takes up your brain energy is the overstimulation of other things. If I could get you to hone in. So even right now, I have trained myself. I said, you know what? You sitting up here trying to avoid this assignment. Get you some sleep. Go to sleep. What you're trying to spend 4 hours on, at least 3 hours in procrastination. When you get some sleep and wake up, it's going to only take you 2 hours to do it, because I don't need, my brain is sharp. It's just that if I don't want to do it, I'm avoiding it. I don't feel that energy yet. And then I need the excitement of the procrastination. All of that is a part of that ADHD, anxiety, creative space, creative brain.
Okay, so since you gave us this assignment, right, is our brain an environment?
Oh, absolutely, but don't go there yet.
I just needed to know. I needed a quick answer, so I know how
Yes,
to move.
because it's so important that we understand that. But before we get to that, I want to highlight, because we can right dig there. So stay right there, Adam Watson out of Texas. Stay right there, because we get ready to dig this piece. But listen, let's highlight this announcement right now. For those of you that are hanging out with us everywhere, I've decided to stream on all the platforms, including Coach Shee's YouTube page. We're on the Evolutions YouTube page. We've got all of the FaceTime Facebook. Good Lord, why am I thinking about FaceTime? Facebook stuff up there. So if you're on any of these platforms, feel free to like, share, send the comments, questions. I'm telling you, I got a whole bunch of comments on this topic that we're having. People are still sending me comments up till 6:30. And so hopefully we can get some of those same individuals that are connected with us to join the live chat if they can. But before we get to that, here, I want to highlight this. Talk about us trying it again.
Let's
Right?
go.
Come on. This is doing it again. B. Jackson out of Delaware. Please tell us what this is looking and feeling like to you.
She on mute.
We
She
can't hear
must
you.
be. Are you on mute, Bernicia? Come on.
Oh, I was sorry.
Love the hearts. Go.
I think what does this look like? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Um t- it looks like a whole lot. Like like no. Are you asking what this is about, or like what do you
Well, not even talking. Okay, so let me give some more base behind this. My whole existence or experience with you has been about your creativity, you envisioning what you wanted to do with your organization, and now putting this dinner theater together where you and your creativity comes alive is outstanding for me. So by the time we got to this, and then by the time y'all was sending word, we need registration because we need to be prepared for enough food, making sure that people are accommodated. I just got excited off of that. Right. So you writing a play, you directing it, and putting all of these pieces into action. This dinner theater is taking place in Wilmington, Delaware. And it's
Claymont.
written Claymont, Delaware, and it's written and directed by our very own Bernicia Jackson. She is partnering with overseer Pastor Barbara Hobbs and the Church Triumphant in order to facilitate this particular dinner theater experience, what to do when you don't know what to do. So I just love that, because hype has been, your organization has been about all of those particular pieces. So take 2 minutes and just tell us about this, and then bridge that to hype, and then we'll move forward. And I'll say lastly, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I actually wrote this, started to write this probably about 4 years ago. It was definitely before the pandemic. And in true Bernicia Jackson creative clutter fashion, like I got other things that were going on. So I kind of like picked it up and put it back down, picked it up and put it back down. And I've been trying to um do a dinner theater for quite a while. And my dear friend said something to me just in conversation, like we were talking about how sometimes I procrastinate, and she had just said like, well, like how many years did you say you was going to do a dinner theater? You ain't did it yet. And she ha ha ha, and we kept on talking, but that thing hit me. Like I internalized that real hard. She don't even know. So, but that thing hit me real hard. Like wow, I never did it. So I'm like, okay, I want to do it, but every time I got ready to do it, like stuff would just keep happening. And as you all know, the beginning of the year, I said that we were making our declarations. That I said that I didn't want to say anything about doing this. Um, and then I turned around and I said, okay, I'm going to do it. You know, I'm gonna this year, before this year closes out, I'm going to do my dinner theater. And then all hell broke loose. Roughly the end of January, beginning of January, end of January, beginning of February. Like I've been on a downward spiral with my health and life challenges and all kind of stuff. And I was just like, all right, I'm not doing it. And
Mhm.
I just happened to stumble upon. I visited Church Triumphant with Pastor with Elder Hobbs, who is a great spiritual friend of mine, and we have that relationship. We just were talking, and I don't even know. Like I just mentioned it to her, and it just kind of like created like took life. She's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna decorate. I'm I'm gonna get this. We gonna have this over here. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. She said, you said you wanted to do it, right? And I'm like, yeah. She said, well, we doing it.
Wow. We need those people, don't we?
Yes.
Talk about activation. So I'm like, oh, okay. So all the pieces of the puzzle started coming together, and I actually added some more to it, and it's been a struggle, but I just feel like somebody's life is going to be impacted from um the messages that are going to be conveyed through this this endeavor. It's not a play, it is a collection of scenes. um so it's not a one whole storyline that runs together. There are like everything is centered around a theme, like what to do when you don't know what to do, forgive, push through, let go and let God, um live, all of those, like stand, like all there are I think I have total probably about 12 different scenes that I have, but we're not doing all 12 of them. We're just gonna focus on 5 of those for that evening.
Mhm.
It's gonna be some dance. My daughter is dancing. Paris is gonna be a part of it. She has
Mhm.
not danced in a year, so this is gonna be exciting. Probably about a year, because she a year ago, yesterday she was in a car accident. So it's gonna be great
Wow.
to see that. So life. I guess I had to go through what I had to go through in order to be able to properly minister to others about what to do when you don't know what to do. So
Sister
I'm excited. I'm nervous.
V, as a
Yes.
as a dinner as a dinner theater food.
Yes.
That was my question too.
Are you
Oh,
serious?
daggone.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I'm
because
gra-
fly in.
I didn't know if it was like a just a title, a type of title, or something
It's
creative.
a real thing.
yeah.
Okay.
We're
Yeah.
feeding the holes in your soul. I don't know.
Oh, my
You get what I'm
bad.
saying? So
Cause in
I
me,
just thought that it was something extremely creative behind it, not actually
Like
dinner. But
food. Oh,
maybe that's
there's
us
actually going to be a meal.
overthinking as creatives. Because that was my question
No,
too.
there's actually going to be a meal. There is
What'd you
food.
say, Brian?
no,
Can't
we
hear
can't hear
you.
you, sir. Let me see where he is in his mic. Yeah, I'm used to dinner theater out of New York. So when they say dinner, it means that it's going to be dinner and a show or food
Okay.
and a show. So
Right.
yeah, I
That,
don't know.
I
So
just
that'll
wanted to
be
make
that.
sure. So if I fly in, I know I ain't gotta worry about a meal.
Come
I know that's
through.
right.
Come through. Now listen, the average dinner theater is probably about starting at about $60. Let's be clear.
Hmm.
I
Dinner
know that
theaters are rough.
I would be putting that $60 on my plane ticket.
And this is free.
You know what,
So
Lord,
come with the seed.
come with the seed.
All right,
Come
I'll
with the
just
seed.
send one and stay home. I'm gonna send my seed because my seed will be on the plane. But I will send a seed. I will send a seed.
Right.
Bless your heart. And we
Hmm.
accept that.
Hmm.
So yeah. Hope to see everyone there. It's gonna be great.
That's awesome. Good stuff. Test that mic again, Brian Morris. Let's see where you at. Are you sure it's not coming through your headphones? No, it's not coming through your headphones. Okay. I don't know why that is. But we need to find you because I want to get in touch with this topic. I want to get started with it. We're praying, Bernicia, for everything that is going to take place as it relates to this. I am excited. Please video, 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 because I am not coming. Y'all are already getting snow, and I am not feeling that. It's too cold down
Already?
here as it is. Listen, yes, they
I
getting
mean,
snow.
I saw
We are
Buffalo. I
not
thought New York
like
got
please
smashed.
stop. Please, please.
No.
I hate when you go real Florida on me.
Yeah,
Like, stop.
because it's not feeling real Florida right now. It is not
It's
feeling
not
real
gonna
It
Florida.
feels
snow.
great
Like,
outside.
It
Hey,
is
can I speak on
freezing
behalf
down
of
here.
those of us
No, it's not.
in the South?
Freezing.
For those of us who moved from the great white north to
Thank
the
you.
beautiful South, the southern stuff, it is not the same when you walk outside your house on Christmas and it's sunny and it's 70, 80 degrees. When in Florida, San Diego, the first time Christmas comes and you're walking outside and your kids are playing because ain't no snow, ain't no rain, it's a life changer.
I understand.
Life
But it
changer.
is not freezing
It absolutely is
from
freezing.
somebody who grew up
I don't
there.
care where I grew
Don't
up.
mean
I
nothing.
didn't move to Florida to feel like I was in New York. I'm just telling you
it's
that.
too much.
65
Yes.
degrees is not New York
Oh,
weather.
ma'am.
It's
It is.
not.
It's
You
cold
see,
down
now
here.
let me just
It's
sit
too
in this
much.
for a quick
It's, you know
minute.
what the temperature? Let me tell you our current temperature.
What is it?
I
When
will
my
ask her later, but
when
she's
my
down.
AC doesn't have to come on, when our AC just stays off all
It's
day,
a beautiful day.
no,
Let me
it's
put this on
cold.
camera. Can y'all
No,
see
that's
this?
cold.
Oh, that's my baby. You can't
Yeah,
see
we
my
see
baby.
the baby looking at us.
No, that's cold. Adam, you understand?
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
36. Do y'all see that?
Yes.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Are you saying that 36 is not
No, 36.
cold?
No, I'm explaining that that's cold. 65 ain't.
Today,
65 with the sun still out.
mm-mm.
So it's like it's a really nice breeze.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice
Yes.
outside.
Mm-hmm.
And the weather just broke here. Like we
Mm-hmm.
we were having our own little extended spring summer because it really
Mm-hmm.
just got cold last week. Like
Mm-hmm.
last week.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
it's
Well,
36 degrees outside right now.
None of
yeah,
it.
your
I
body,
feel none of it.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
our body acclimates to our environment. So after you've been in a space for so when I got on the plane to come home, Diego, after about 2 or 3 years, and it was right around Thanksgiving, the window was freezing, and it woke me up. My body hadn't been used to what rude weather in a very long time,
Rude weather.
a
Rude
very
weather.
long time.
Wow. No, listen, I'm going to move on into this segment because we need to, but I don't know. I don't agree. I'm just saying. And it's okay because we can still love each other, but my fingers are freezing in this room right
I
now.
want to get you checked out. I'm concerned about you.
And I'm not
Brian,
anemic. My blood work is
Brian, take your
perfect.
wife to the doctors.
Listen,
Like,
no, I'm doing wonderfully. It's just cold in these streets. Listen, we coming back because for the next 4 weeks we are going to spend time talking about the power behind the tongue. And tonight we want to talk about this comparison space. Now we did a whole bunch of warming up to that, right? Because I think it's just important that we check in. We check in during the week. We check in before we get in here. We give you all time to get in here. But we want to have this conversation because I think it's important on all of the spectrums in order for us to really consider what is the government behind our individual tongues. And according to some of the feedback that I've gotten, it could move us negatively or positively depending on how we feel, perceive, or process information. And that's the thing that I want us to really, really harp on. So give us a minute to kind of walk through these spaces, right? I got slides for you because that's what I do in these cold city streets of Homestead.
Stop. I said, stop it. I
In South
said.
Florida, it's cold,
turn the air off.
but these slides is fire. So maybe that will warm me up. How about that?
Oh, maybe.
Go get your cocoa and your marshmallows,
Let's
I
go,
guess.
people. Let's go. Yeah, so y'all seeing that with us? What we gonna have y'all? We're gonna put y'all at the bottom. My husband said I had y'all crossed out last week. So I want to make sure. I think we good with this. So everybody should be able to see this. And we're gonna move real quickly through these spaces, because if you were with us last week, we talked, was it last week or the week before? We talked about some of this and then came back to highlight some spaces, but I want to show you some things here. The power behind the tongue. And we're going to slow this roll down because Watson out of Texas told me, he said, you move too fast through that. I get it, Well, we get that. I'm going to move through the first 7 real quick just to recap, but I want us to linger with 7, 8, and 9, right? So here we go. Pay attention to it. The tongue, it's a mechanical tool. Just recapping. Placed in the mouth to navigate communication and ingestion. We was talking about that Proverbs 18:21 space. Death and life are in the power. That's the scripture that most people will reference. And they that love it shall eat the fruit of it. You should spend some time exploring that, studying it for yourself. The power behind the tongue will eventually share the issues of our heart, right? Because the tongue alone can't function by itself. It needs information in order to move communication through your mouth or your body or however that flows through you, right? So often we use the reference of Proverbs 23:7 for as a man, as a person, as an individual, thinks in their heart, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee. And this we understood from 2 weeks ago, that this was a contextual scripture dealing with relationship amongst two individuals, friendships, partnerships, whatever. And so take some time to study that as well. Right, here we are. Did you know verbal communication is one of the earliest forms of human communication prior to nonverbal cues or other types of communication? So verbal communication also has some drawbacks, such as the risk of misunderstanding, misinterpretation, or distortion of the message. So it is very easy to misunderstand someone, and that, hear me when I say this, can be influenced by the cultural backdrops or the environments that we grow up in. You might hear somebody say a slang to someone that you can't use because they are familiar with that. And we understand what that is like, because we can call our sisters certain things and we will understand that as a cultural idiom, but other people can't call us that. I won't get into the depthness of that, but y'all understand what I'm saying, right? It can also be affected by external factors such as noise, distractions, or technical issues. So we move through that, right? My soul, did I do that right? It goes in my soul and out of my mouth. So we have several levels of communication that exist. Remember, I say that because you can speak something with your mouth, your tongue can facilitate a thing, but your body language and all of that can be very far from you. So pay attention to that. Right? Communication is validated with other forms of communication like behavior. So we match words with things. We match words with things, behaviors, faith without works, faith with works, right? So there is this thing that helps us to reinforce what we believe. And that activity comes out of how we actually behave. So thought happens in the soul mind space. It's from this space that thoughts become things. So a managed thought. I want to reinforce that, because I think that a lot of times people think that any thought that you think has to become a thing. But when you function in maturity and when you function in the space that understands that although this is a thought, I don't have to entertain it, your management of how you're thinking will control a lot of this overthinking, right? So a managed thought becomes a thing. And here maturity is listed as being the key thing, right? So here we are, abundance of the heart, Luke 6:45. Good people have good things saved in their hearts. That's why they say good things. But those who are evil have hearts full of evil. And that's why they say things that are evil. So what people say with their mouths come from what fills their heart. So if we look at that and we watch that, then we say, are we paying attention to what we're saying, or should we be paying attention more to what we are putting in our heart space so that our mouth can respond from that space? Technically, when you really pay attention to that, Bree, watch this. When you pay attention to that, your heart is the space that manages your conflicts. Mm-hmm. That's why it's very difficult for people to say. And when you watch their body language or their behavior, you will know if they're lying or not. because I can say a thing, but my body will say, I don't believe that. But you're saying it to just go along with the thing, right? So here's some key statements: abundance, heart, mind, or soul, and it fills their hearts, full of heart, full of a heart, out of the abundance, the fullness of your heart, the mouth speaks. So people be surprised about what comes out of their mouth, but they never check what their heart is full of.
Mm-hmm.
It has to match, because the conflict is going to show in your other types of communication, which is your body language and your behaviors, right? So here we are. You couldn't control. So what happens now? You couldn't control what hit your heart. You couldn't manage that, especially as a child. We know that most things happen in our construct or in our mental health mind development between 0 and 6. You couldn't control your heart. So what do you do with that? Traumatic experiences left an indelible impression on your heart. What do you do with that? The triggers of life continue to impact and disturb your heart. What do you do with that? If we concentrate on the heart and what the heart is full of, the tongue is getting blamed for a lot of things that it should not be blamed for. The heart is full of something that is trying to now be communicated, and the tongue has no other choice but to communicate what your heart is full of and what your heart is feeling. So your tongue is not controlling anything. Your soul is your government. Your soul is your government. I'm going to say it again. Your soul is your government. So you got to be careful. You get to manage your government. And if it's unmanaged, then that's where maturity is now not setting in, because we allow our government to be reckless.
Reckless.
Yeah, we allow it to be reckless. My husband has been rocking that statement all week with me. Like, when people handle things and they're reckless in their behaviors, it's because your soul, you can have resentment and you'll start bleed. You wonder why leaders, it's a prone statement, right? We often talk about, we don't want leaders to bleed on people. Well, their hearts are full of resentment. Their hearts are full of disappointment. They're in a whole bunch of pain that we have not allowed opportunity for them to be honest and real in front of us. So guess where it comes out? In their preaching. Where else is going to come out? Where it won't, your heart will not hide itself. Remember that I said that, right? So here we are, slide 8. Comparison. And this, I wanted to tackle this because I was getting so much feedback about this comparison space. And for those of you that are watching with us and joined us in that particular conversation, thank you for responding, because I thought that that was a stellar. We were listening to a lot of people having ideologies about their identities, right? So when we think about it, we shared this conversation that Dr. Cindy Trim did, which is very powerful. I forget who sent that video. I think it was you, Bree, about the whole idea of how we see ourselves and what we think about ourselves, right? 0 to 6. People are so surprised when I say that to them, 0 to 6, 0 to 7, that your framework is developed right there. That's surprising, right? Because you don't even have enough wherewithal to be able to determine what you think you think. But your frame is already set. Oh. When you hear that, let me pause there. When you hear that, what do you think could have happened when you think about you raising your children, and then from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and how they are already framed in their mentality, set a structure, a foundation of how they process and think about things, what they have heard and overheard. What do you think about that?
One time I was thinking about my youngest daughter, Kai, and I was thinking about, she was younger at the time, and she had no fear. She was very creative. She was very happy. And this is before me and my ex-wife separated. And I remember how whatever we told her, she believed. And after we separated and all the drama of the divorce and those things that happened, she took a hit in her belief. And so when I went to the Lord, just praying for my daughter, he reminded me, he said, Adam, he said, remember, he said, my worlds are framed by my words.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the scripture, we know that the world was framed by the world was framed by the word of God. He
Mm-hmm.
said, why would that be anything different from you?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever
Wow.
you're saying
Mm-hmm.
is what you're creating. Whatever you're saying is what you're believing,
Mm-hmm.
whether it is on purpose or it's incidental. If you tell yourself, I'm never going to figure this out, because if your soul is in control, then your emotions are going to tell your spirit, shut down. We're not going to get this. We're not going to understand this. And now the world of your learning has been shut down. We have made it commonplace to disregard the strength of our own mouth to power us through something or to shut us down in it.
Wow. Wow. And see, all of that takes training too, right? Wow. So interesting. Anybody else? What do you think about that? Especially for those of you who have raised children or watched your family raise children. What do you think about that?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there you go.
Yes.
Praise God. Okay,
Yes.
so so I think for me, I when it comes to mindset that have been developed before I recognized it, I I think I realized it by the time Layla started to develop, my daughter started to develop. And I realized, because I'm thinking that I'm doing something different from the way I was raised. I'm leading more from the standpoint of, okay, this is a person that I've never met before, although she's mine and she came from us. She's a person that I've never met before. So I'm moving as I'm moving, or I'm doing as the time goes on, and I'm building and restructuring the way that I would handle my own child rather than the way that I was always handled. But I didn't realize, because something started to look familiar that Layla would do at her age that I did at my age.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, at first I was thinking, okay, genetics and just personality wise or whatever like that. She's my child. But I started to realize, I'm like, there was some framework and mental things that followed me, that almost my knowledge started to structure some things to the next generation. And it wasn't until I actually paid attention to it, because I was unaware. I paid attention to it. I realized, okay, I'm doing the same things, and I didn't have a bad childhood.
Mhm.
Bad childhood, but there were some things that I wanted to do differently, but I didn't realize how set it was in me, as far as what I thought or I believed was the way that I should train and develop my child. Um, I didn't realize how much it was locked into my mental framework, and my mindset, and it doesn't work for her.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, it doesn't work for her. The same. This was a different time for a different generation, and then sometimes we got to be honest. It didn't work for us. Some of it didn't work for us either. But
Hmm.
we were just of a different generation, where we just went ahead and just went with it rather than combat. This generation is different. They're going to tell you, I don't like this.
Mm,
Why do you do this?
mm.
Why and what for? So,
Mm.
so it's just a different. And then I had to get myself together and realize them asking questions was not a problem.
Mm.
Right. It's not a challenge.
Oh boy.
Yeah, because we would have never we
Oh
did
no.
not have opportunity to get away with that.
Don't
Right.
even have a thought.
Right. So imagine what that looks like, though. We can't question our parents. We're We're trained not to question God.
That's true.
And we're at the most knowledge-based generation there is.
Hmm.
And no longer is it intimidating for them to say, I just want to know why this is supposed to make sense for me. So we're beefing up that individuality, right? Look at this, the comparison slide. This is where we're gonna tackle these next two or three. Theodore Roosevelt said it. He said, comparison is the thief of joy. Would I compare myself? And it depends. It depends. There are people that could take comparisons or acknowledgement of similarities between one person and another and say, yeah, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I sound like Adam Watson, right? Because he's a good dude, is this and this, he has a solid ministry, all of those types of things. Or it could be bad when your mama said you look just like your daddy, and they treat you like that because they hate him and now they hate you. It depends on what your framework is made up and how your frame will process that. So this statement, it means that constantly comparing yourself to others can steal your happiness by making you feel inadequate or dissatisfied with your own life. So consider the idea of people being on social media and wanting to live up to those expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you focus on what others have instead of appreciating what you have.
I got a question with that.
Mm.
Because we did, I think it was Marilyn. I think she made a statement that I was interested in as far as the answer to, or the thought around it, because I would think that way, and I would compare myself to people that I consider to be more advanced. Of it, I thought it meant something that I looked up to, that I could at least try to get to. Or there was a model of something that I would that I could reach for. So I would always compare, be like, okay, I'm looking at myself, I'm looking at them, and I'm like, I'm not there yet. So and I used to think that wasn't wrong. And my question is that, is that wrong? Is that wrong for us to look at someone to look up to and to try to reach to that space that they're in
Adam,
comparison?
go ahead.
Because I think that role models are important, and so finding somebody that you can emulate your life after, in order to ascend to a place where you can access what they access or be a part of that, I think it's good. I know the Bible does say, in the Old Testament, it says comparing yourselves to one another, it's not wise. And then another side of it says, envy now the greatest gifts. But here's the problem. I don't know whether this is revelation or whether I'm just hungry, but this is what's left of my sweet potato pie. And y'all will notice, right? If y'all pay close attention, class, you will notice I have sweet potato pie and the part I already consumed. At this space, I can decide, hey, I still got a whole other half to consume, or I only have another half to consume.
Yes.
One of the two. So when Coach She put out, is this a compliment or a deficit? Everything is directed on how we perceive it. And so, sir, if you're looking at her or looking at whoever you're looking at, and you're like, hey, I want that, and it's not based on a negative or a void or a hole, you just want it because you know it'll make you better, your family will be better off of it, then that's what you do. But if you're looking at that situation and you're like, I need to do this because I'm tired of everybody else having this and I don't have this, and you go into that comparison, number one, we're being driven by the wrong motive, trying to be like somebody. We're also being driven, that same motive is being driven by bitterness because we don't have what the other person has. And so a whole relearning or a re-education of how we think comes about because the whole university of life is in the tongue. And so when we start making those thought processes, like, yeah, hey, I want that because it's best for me, it's best for my family. That whole transaction of the will is only based on whether you're really wanting to get better in a healthy place, or if not. That's, at least that's the way I see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree with you, because it's all about value. If I can ascribe for this without devaluing myself, then it's a healthy balance. The challenge only comes when people feel like my life is void if I don't have that.
True.
And so we have that mental framework or mental mindset may have been developed before you recognize it. Some of that development, if you were constantly hearing that you need to be like them, then you develop a framework that says, I am not enough and I need to be like somebody else. And you never learn how to value yourself, which becomes problematic. If you have a healthy space that says you are important, your individuality is appreciated, you learn how to value you, right? When you look up at other individuals, it looks like an emulation or an ascribing to or a role model that does not diminish who you are, because the greatest level of empowerment means that we may be able to do the same things together, but I don't need to do it in competition to you.
Right.
I need you as you. Otherwise, the earth is deficient when you are not fully yourself. And I think that becomes the challenge. And you know what? One of the greatest challenges in the office and in the clinical office and in the house of God is we've got a lot of individuals who are in a room together, don't like each other, and don't even recognize that they are competing for attention.
Well,
Which is why the house of God has become a sensational environment.
when you made that when you were talking about us celebrating our differences, I had a thought. You know, you and Bishop Brian Morris happily married, and when we see y'all walk in the room, we know you are married. But what if y'all two walked in and you were wearing his beard?
Ooh.
It would make no sense, because that's his look, that's his flow. That's how we identify him when he walks in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And when we see you, when we see him, we're not expecting the highlights in the hair. We're not like, there's certain things we're not expecting, because we learn to celebrate y'all differences or identify you and set you apart as who you are. Even though you are one in name, you are separated by personality, by skill sets, by gifts, you name it. And so being able, if we don't get that, then we see y'all one, but then we see you with the beard and we're like, what happened? Because marriage was not designed to make you clones of each other.
No.
But designed to balance you out. So as amazing as one person is, or as horrible as another person is, or how deficient the other person may be, the relationship is balanced out in the oneness. And so it becomes important for that celebration of, be you, boo. You know, please be you. Because do you know how many of us have watched people struggling to be someone else?
Wow.
I had a conversation with a gentleman who is same gender loving. And he made this statement. He said, Adam, because I was raised in the church, I know that the church believes that me loving another man is wrong. I know that it's in the Bible and all that stuff. He said, but my whole life, I did not struggle to be saved. I struggled not to be gay. And I said, wow, what do you mean? What do you mean you struggled not to be gay? He said, that was where my struggle's at. He said, Adam, right now, I don't struggle loving God. That is not a struggle for me. Going to church and the whole nine, that's not. But the struggle is being in church and acting like I'm not gay.
Mm.
And I was like, to everybody, I never thought about that.
Right.
And so it forced me to be able to look at him and see myself in his shoes from the standpoint of wherever I struggle with,
Mm-hmm.
that struggle is my personal struggle.
Mm-hmm.
It's me. It doesn't mean I don't love God. It doesn't mean I don't do this, but I'm struggling with the attitudes of everybody else and what they have
Yes.
forced on me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yes. Yes. Listen, I'm digging all of that language, but go ahead, somebody else. It's a huge mental struggle for a lot of people, because at the source of us bringing our authentic self to the world, not for the world, but to the world, we spend a lot of time chiseling ourselves to fit into an identity that is seemingly supposed to be made for us.
All right.
And we don't ever do the chiseling that counteracts that. Go ahead, Bree.
No, I was just gonna ask. So, first of all, that I was quiet because I was kind of sort of self-reflecting, because I'm just like, well, dang, what is it that I struggle with, that would have me feeling that way? But also, would that be the foundation of like why people, like where mental health, or depression, or certain things that can be mental health issues, like, is that where it would derive from, the simple fact that they're struggling with certain things, or struggling with trying to be something that they're not, or not trying to be something that they are?
A lot of core things are lived in that space. Identity is a core core framework that we that is the first gift that is given to us. That's why Jesus, being fully God and fully man, was such an important concept. And because we are bipolar in our nature, we either attempt to master one or the other, but not both. We have identity crises. So if I live my humanity, and people say the word, well, you can't live in your humanity and be saved. That is not the truth. That's misconception. It's not true. You are supposed to have a human and spiritual experience. They are supposed to blend. Otherwise, the work of Jesus is fallacy. You might as well just throw the idea of that out the window if I am not going to be able to be human and divine. So instead of trying to kill off my flesh, quote unquote, why don't you have the real conversation about how humanity's existence and divinity's existence looks? And it looks like me. But the problem is that if you don't like me, then you consider my human divinity or my divine humanity wrong. There is no appreciation for that divinity diversity. And that's where so if your core issue is rejection, you will feel that rejection and say, let me change. Let me change so that this person who is calling me out for what they don't necessarily like about me will receive me or accept me. But as soon as you make an adjustment that is not necessary, you don't challenge them to handle their diversity. You just adjust to conform to their discomfort. Then you are left with that identity.
I was talking to a young person, and sometimes the internet annoys me because, like you said, Coach, this is the most knowledgeable space ever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to this individual who was talking to me about how people within their working space don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't want to say, hey, are we okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sensing something from you. And so the statement that they made, I had never heard this before, y'all. They said, I'm just going to employ imposter syndrome and go on about my business.
Mm.
What? I said,
Oh,
what the heck is imposter syndrome? And it's something I learned off of the internet. I said, who said that's okay? I'm going to put myself in the place of being fake or being not authentic
mm-hmm.
the entire time I'm around you so that we can coexist.
Mm-hmm.
That's prison.
Not
And so the backup question to what Bree just asked, if you are changing because your environment presses this on you, because I feel a turn right here, so I'm going to ask this question and wait on it. If I live something because the environment is pressing it on me, is that my mental health, or is that just peer pressure?
Mm.
Okay, can I say
Great
something about
question.
this?
Yes, but before you say something, I'm getting ready to call out Watson from Texas, because how dare you eat a half sweet potato pie in front of us?
Listen.
How
No,
dare you
ma'am,
do
I
that?
haven't. Number
And
one,
it's perfectly cut.
right?
Like, come
Perfectly.
on, sir.
Like,
Come
how
on,
dare
sir.
you?
Yeah, number one, I haven't touched it, and you'll be proud of me because I got this last Wednesday, and this is what's left. Come on and give God some praise.
No,
Hallelujah.
I'm not giving
Well,
him
I
praise,
ain't getting no sweet potato
because
pie, so I'm real
I
sour
know some
about
other
that.
stuff too that may make me feel like you don't need that sweet potato pie. But I digress. I'm gonna
That's why I said it. I've had it since last Wednesday,
Okay.
and I still got half a pie.
Okay.
Come
Well,
on, half a pie.
half full, half full. Okay, I'm
Half
gonna go with
full,
you there.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, B. Morris, come on and address that. We needed a buffer. We needed a commercial there.
Well, I was thinking about what Adam said, because I've been there. I've been the person who has there's a lot of definition for things nowadays, but I've been the person to where I go into a room, I read the room, and in my mind, I just kind of naturally see. I kind of see what the need is from me and what they don't need from me, and I start to assimilate to the room to kind of give them what I feel like they need, or if I feel like they want. Um, I don't necessarily know if that was always a good thing, because there were times where I did put on a persona for the sake of, and that came from low self esteem. When I was younger and I had very low self esteem, I would just go ahead and put on for the sake of being accepted. Um, and it was and it's true. It's by the time I was finished, I was exhausted. I was, by the time I left the people, they got what they wanted, but I was exhausted because I'm like, this isn't me. I don't, and but I created certain. Okay, I'll put one on here for this. I'll put one here on for them. I'll put one on there for them. And then it came to the point to where by the time I got tired and I was like, I really took it all off and said, here I am. They was like, well, who are you? We don't even know who you.
Yes, sir.
So the things that I would say, the things that I would say, the things that I would do, the things that I was annoyed with, the things that I loved, they didn't know who this person was because Brian never had this issue with us before. You know what I'm saying? So it was always at some point I think I got to the age where I was like, okay, and there was a turn that happened in my life where it's like I'm just kind of tired of just kind of carrying around all of these coats and hats for the sake of trying to fit in.
Amen.
Can
To all,
someone ever be their authentic self while they're during their performance? Is there a way that you can perform and be your authentic self, same person on stage as you are at home? Is that even possible?
I
In
think
Depends on the
dance, sure.
character.
go ladies. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying in dance, sure.
Why you
I
say
think
that?
Um, I just, I mean, for me personally, in dance, I just felt like that's the place where I had most peace. And I could be myself. I mean, then again, I'm about to start overthinking because then I'm thinking, well, no, you're in costume, you're in this, you're in that, but people can still see you and they know exactly who you are. So, um, yeah,
But
I
that's
feel
their version
like
of you, right? Because you're
right,
not actually talking. You're just
yes, but with that, it was easier to let go in that, I guess is why I'm saying I felt like personally for me I was my authentic self. Like it's not the same with singing. I guess because people can hear something coming out when movement is just movement. You can't tell me if it's the right movement or if it's the wrong movement, but it's something that I felt at that time.
Nice.
So yeah, I that's why I feel like for me
Mhm.
dance is authentic. Well, me being authentic with people. Hope that made sense.
yeah.
Okay.
It did. Bernicia, you look like you sounded like you had something. I think you piped in there.
Um, I was gonna say it depends on the character that you're playing. Like a lot of times, like in theater, um if I'm portraying if I'm playing a role of someone else's life, there could be a strong connection between myself and the character that I'm playing. So which allows me to be more of myself as I portray someone else.
Hmm.
Or if I'm doing something that is like a personal piece, of course, in theater, like you are your most vulnerable when you're on stage. So I know I know when I first did my monologue, I always tell people that I did it by accident. I did like I didn't know I was coming up front to go tell all these people my business. Like I just came in the door asking for some things to help me to go up front, and I looked up and I was up front telling people about a suicide attempt that I had. Um and yeah, but it just happens. Next thing you know, but I was being myself at that moment though,
Hmm.
which again, you're most vulnerable when you're playing characters that are more they hit closer to home because you're going to step into yourself and not into somebody else. So,
yeah, yeah.
That's
And
good.
then there's some I've seen people who have played characters that was completely different from from their thoughts or
Hmm.
their or just who they were.
per-
So when
personality wise,
yeah, their personality. So we did Jekyll and Hyde, the guy who played Jekyll and
So
Hyde,
good. It was
he
good.
had to he by the time he got to Hyde and he had to do all the killings, he really had to something um find something to do with that because he
Hmm.
was now I called them. I said he do an amazing job because the way he just dove into the role it was so spot on. And he told me, he said, Brian, this is exhausting. He was like,
Mm.
because this isn't
Which
me.
one, sir?
Hide.
Hide is exhausting. Okay.
Yeah, Hyde, the one who the mad one, the one who did the killings. He said this isn't me. He's like, Jekyll is different because Jekyll was the doctor. He was very poised and he was very clean cut. And he cared. But this other end, and he had to really search and dig for some dark self in order to
Mm.
connect with the role. That's why a lot of times people say you got to be careful with that because those things tend to carry into your personal space depending on how dig you deep into that role, and you really didn't think about the role going home with you.
Mhm.
I know we ain't over here. We're not supposed to be talking about, but I I have to ask. So when somebody in performance, you know what, it is relevant. Bernicia's performing this week. So let's talk about it. I got a question. So there's a movie out. I don't know if anybody has seen it, and I'm not going to give the name of the movie, but there's a movie out. Black Culture has been talking about it a lot, where there was literally like demon possession and prayer and all that stuff, and you clap, so you know the movie I'm talking about.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here's my question. I haven't seen it because I got some experiences I don't want to relive. But here's my question. My question is, what did y'all think? Was that a good thing to portray? Or are there certain things that are hallowed? Are there certain things that because of, are there certain things that we should leave alone?
I personally think that amazing movie. I cried. I cried at at a certain point because of the fact that I think the problem was that the people unfortunately, because they have small minds, they have tended to just lock themselves into the demonic aspect of the movie, rather actually do the due diligence of being critical thinkers and actually looking to the movie for the full length and breadth of what the movie was supposed to be. And what happened was they threw that out, and then they took this other movie that was very evangelical and very popcorn and mainstream. Not saying that it wasn't a good movie, but for most of us, especially in the Black Pentecostal church, see, I like this kind of carrying on. See, in the church, we would know what this looked like. You know, as much as they want us to be this over here, when in our roots, we know what this looked like that happened in that movie with the demonic activity. They failed to talk about was the fact that with all the pieces that came from the movie that talked about how those things gained access, and then in the movie about how certain things that needed to happen closed the doors to the access.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, you will have to watch a movie to really to be able to see that they're taking something small, which really isn't the crux of the movie, and painting this entire picture like, oh, it's absolutely demonic. It's a gate. Listen. Let me tell you something. All of these things that we do and everything. Listen. If that was a gate, then we got many gates that we done opened up that we need to be careful about.
Okay.
People need
Yeah,
to
I was hearing
calm
a lot
down.
about it, and I was, because of my history in that space, I was like, I think I'm just going to pass on it, because because I live in Texas, and in Texas, everything is either white or it's demonic. That's the way it feels. I'm from California, so that's what I can say, that it's how I feel. The opinion expressed on this show tonight is by Adam Watson and him alone. It should not be put to anybody else on the show. It almost feels like if it's not approved by white hierarchy in the church, then it should not be received or accepted. And so I was kind of like, you know what, let me pass on it. But then to your point, Brian, I saw another movie that was being pushed to the hill, and I'm like, why can we can talk about what does not require. That's not a good thing for me to say. I'm going there are certain things that we can talk about that are acceptable to talk about around all spaces. And then there are certain things that seem to be only allowed to be talked about in our space. For instance, one of the things that I heard is that a Caucasian woman could not tell the difference between a praise break and a voodoo dance. And
a what dance?
A voodoo dance.
Okay.
And then how do you tell the difference between a voodoo dance and the dances of our American heritage? And I had to turn the TV off because sometimes the ignorance is.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's innate, and the thing is, it's good because we're starting to turn the corner back to a couple of things. We're starting to turn the corner back to comparisons, because if we want to be honest, we ain't supposed to be here, but okay,
yes, we are.
We
Go ahead.
We here now. But if we want to be honest, a lot of our praise breaks, like heck, a lot of our praise breaking, our dances come from the rain dances of our African heritage. Oh my God! Why do we act like we don't want to claim that? It makes me sick.
Yes.
Like, oh my, you're black, baby. You're black.
You're black, baby.
Yeah. And it's like, and I think that's it. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful with it, but it's like it's innate. It's in your DNA. You can't strip yourself from it. So stop trying to do it.
My God.
God
Yes,
didn't
say it again.
God didn't save you, and you didn't receive his blood and the sacrifice and the salvation in order to strip you of the genetic code that comes with their African heritage. That's not
genetic.
What he's for.
Yes. Yes.
Did you exhale? Did you?
I mean,
exhale?
like, because it really gets annoying because if we're not careful, see, that's what gives us our superpower as Black and brown individuals. It's our superpower. There's a certain that's in us that nobody else has, and it's not to go against anybody else's or any other ethnicity spirituality, but there's something about a Black and brown person that's able to tap into the spiritual nature of things. That's why because that's why that's why those things are feared. That's why those things are feared, whether you be in Christ or whether you be outside. See, that's why we can tap into those things, even if you might not be saved. Because there's a certain level of spirituality that comes with us. It's just in our DNA. It's just who we are. There is a rhythm. We are tapped into the rhythm of the earth itself, to the frequency and vibrations of the earth itself. You can't deny that. And the fact that, and don't get me wrong, I believe that movie was wonderful. But the fact and the clear fact that you denied and could not see the sheer nature of what that other movie was about, even with its demonic activity, the core crux of it was the entryway of the demonic was the fact that there was a lack of love. The piece that closed the door to the demonic was the solidification of love.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
Preach, sir.
It looked like you about to start crying.
Listen,
I'm like,
because Adam started this yelling weeks ago, and you are taking up the baton. Come on here.
Because now steering back to comparison with just and I don't, Lord, this conversation, Lord, I done got my Dr. Umar. See, Dr. Umar's spirit done creeped up on me.
Dr. Umar.
I feel like I'm about to put
his nickname should be Problem. Because he is a whole problem. Oh my God.
Get you a Shiki.
because it feels like a lot of times in our path to try to connect and try to integrate with so many things, just because we're integrated, that we lose ourselves in our heritage, in our culture, and just the spirit of who we are, for the sake of whitewashing
Hmm.
I'm
us in a,
talking
in
about that tonight.
Say it again. Say the word again.
whitewashing
Say it one more
Whitewash.
time.
ourselves,
Wait. Say it one more time.
whitewashing ourselves, to the point to where we forget the gravity of our authority.
Sir, I'm talking about that tonight. I'm talking about that tonight because of it was like when we got here with everything we could do, they were like, that doesn't work in our culture. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work in our culture. So we want you to do it this way. And so let me ask a question. Can we ever get to the real meat or the discipline and the reigning or the ruling of the rulership of our tongue if we do not set a new foundation and a new culture? And then, because we were talking about the pressure, if we set a culture of proper speaking and using the mouth the way God intended for us to use it, if we set the culture of that correctly, how do we enforce the culture over people over people coming into our space saying that we're trying to control them? How do we impress culture instead of enforce culture? Or am I saying that wrong?
I think you're saying it right. I think at the end of the day, loving kindness is always the thing that draws. You got to release your restraints from individuals who are adults and let them be adults and let them absorb and think for themselves. Love, which was elegantly said by B. Moore when he talked about the law of the New Testament, right? We move away from the regulation of rules and we just display love. And I have not known anybody who is not attracted to love. Love doesn't have to control. Love doesn't have to force. Jesus didn't force us to receive him, even though he died for us. We have gotten this mechanism of leadership being the order, and this is what you have to do. And when we have cognitive dissonance, individuals who don't think for themselves, they are under this opioid that suggests, well, this person has declared themselves a man of God, and because of that, I will turn everything about myself off and follow them robotically. Jesus never even asked us to do that with him.
Right.
So why would we require that of his people? Why? He said, with loving kindness do I draw them. We don't trust love, but we know control because we've been controlled. That seems to work, so let me do it. I'm not whipping them literally, but I am manipulating their mind, which is a whip. And as long as I say the right things, it keeps them saying, yes, massa. There's no love in that at all.
Jesus.
We've got to trust the God who displayed his own word, that made us a word, that he would watch over his word to perform us, display himself through us. All of this other stuff, when we look at the Corinthian story, I think we get it. I think we get lost because Corinthians says it like this: all of this will cease. All of it will fade away. And there is one thing that will remain, and that's love. Prophecy shall cease. That shepherding guiding is going to cease. The only thing that's going to remain, all of these spiritual gifts, they're going to cease. The only thing that will remain is love. And I think that we are so afraid of that we continue to hype them as if they're supposed to be ever existing.
Who's them?
People, period, from leadership tiers to individuals who don't have understanding of the evolution of religion, the evolution of spirituality and how that looks in every space, that appreciation going back to diversity. And I think maybe we need to go ahead and hit that next week, because the comparative space allows us to say in our African studies, which you are studying right now, that everybody that comes from other spaces, we're going to teach them the way of our land. But we're going to use what's naturally in them in order to build our spaces.
Right.
So you use the gift. You use our gifts, but then you deny us being freely able to express them until you need them, and then start calling for the African angels. Somewhere that thing pissed me off. You know why? Because you understood the power of it this entire time.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Right. You're about to set me off for a quick minute, but you're so right. So okay. So what we're used to is go out there and play basketball and use your gift. Right. Use your gift. But we found out with the George Floyd thing that they wanted our gift. But when the basketball players started putting stuff on their jerseys and they started speaking their mind, then all of a sudden it was like, shut up and dribble. It was we're not paying you to give us your opinion. We're paying you to entertain us. And right now we are not entertained.
Sure.
And so it's the challenge that we have of being able to espouse the love of God and the truth of God and the justice of God in the same tongue. Here's the challenge. Without I take that back. I take that back, because I was about to say we have our challenge is to espouse the love of God, the truth of God, the justice of God, and I was about to say without anger, but that's not scriptural. So I'm allowed to be angry as I espouse the love of God, the truth of God, and the justice of God. I just can't step into a space of sin. So I'm corrected. But at some point, if I'm going to tell you who you are, shouldn't I first tell you who you're not? Or if I push hard enough on who you are, won't you eventually figure out who you're not?
Here's a better one, and I want you to work with this and see how you feel about it. We'll continue this next week, because I really want to look at that story I want to, but we don't have to. I would like for us to look at that story between Jacob and Esau. We look at it from a prophetic declaration, but we never really contend with the twins having a different expression and how that must have felt being in that challenge. And Jacob carried that deficiency until he had to face his brother many years. And it started with that developmental space, right? So the idea about you so join us next week for that, because I want us to touch that and then some more stuff. But to respond to your question, the reality is that if we're doing this right, we won't need to tell anybody who they are. They will reveal to us who they are. And we will sit back and look at the splendor of that revelation, because that individual has done the work.
Okay.
That's the goal. Prophecy, speaking over, should cease or change its position when the rising of the internal witness can vocalize for themselves.
Jesus.
And if we don't get people to that goal, we will. And sometimes people intentionally don't get people to that goal because they need someone to prophesy over.
So how, all right. So my question for next week, is how does the speaker balance the information to allow that individual to reveal themselves? That'll be my question for next week. Like, how do we actually get there? Because the way you just said it,
Mm-hmm.
brings me to that. If they come to that understanding, then it's now are we the sons of God?
Now,
Yeah,
because we've always been.
right.
I'm doing what B is doing, but I think she was just pulling her hair back. But I'm sitting up here like, that revelation can't be told to anybody. That is something. And listen, that's a Dr. Rick Daniels conversation. I'm tempted to invite him back, but I want him to behave exactly like he behaved.
We
Right?
like his kind of carrying on.
Yes,
Do it, Doc.
we
Do it.
We do, because
I'm here for it.
there is a now that always was.
Right.
We are arriving to God. He started with us. We are arriving to him. He's with us. He's present in the middle, and we are still yet arriving to him. But that knowing, as soon as we get that revelation, there's so much that we can do with that. So, listen, let's stop this. For all of you who hung out with us, for all of you who tapped in on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you were, thank you so much for this. Listen, I want to tell you, we're going to put some announcements up at the end. First of all, we are targeting Claymont, Delaware. Let's pray for the dinner theater. It is taking place December 31st. And you know what, B, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should do nothing on the national holiday. Nothing. I think we got married at 5 o'clock, and now you got this dinner theater at 6 o'clock. We got 16 years, December 31st. So we are celebrating, and we are.
I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna keep
I
it to
know.
myself.
Listen, and I felt all your energy. Right. And it's pointed at Brian Morris, but we're not going to go there tonight.
Okay.
The dinner theater is taking place in Claymont, Delaware. We want you all to support it if you're in that area. And if you want to sow seed, we're going to put something up towards it because they need some help with expenses and all of those things. And we want this to be vibrant, and we don't want this to be the last thing. Or the last time that they do it. So next week we're going to find something that you can post towards that, and you can sow seed to them. We really love this. I'm so excited about it. Listen, after this, if you got some time, we want you to go hit Mindset Go, because the kind of screaming and yelling that Adam Watson does with his wife over there is extremely hilarious, but it is powerful. They are
And
on
at midnight.
right. They are on Facebook under Mindset Go or Adam Watson. I think both are public, so join them over there. We roll into conversation. So after we get off this, I'll join and be over there just cracking up, listening at the comments and them just working through their systems. So do that. What else is coming up? Husband is getting ready to sing. He's been in some wonderful opportunities. We're going to give him opportunity to share some of that next week. Bree Jackson, we're just glad that you made it back from the cold state of Atlanta.
We're just glad you made it back.
Georgia, we're just glad and you made it back to the cold state of Florida. Praise the Lord's high name. So we are here with you all. We are and we're really going to work this conversation forward, because according to the attendance, sounds like there's a lot of individuals that have been benefited just by this particular conversation. And there's so many places that we can go, so many things that we can do. Doesn't that sound like Dr. Seuss? Somebody, here we go on this adventure. That's exactly what we're doing. So hang out with us. Stay here with us, and the team is going to go, but you all stay for the announcements. We are so grateful. Go.
Cool. Bishop, what do you have any music videos on YouTube where people can see your singing, your ministry?
I got a few videos on YouTube from the different churches that I sing at. I don't necessarily like the background vocals, but you know, the of the churches that I sing.
Adam, see why you get. I wanted to see how he was going to respond to that question, and he did it publicly. There's some stuff out there. We're going to find some of that to put up as well.
We're going to
And
search
while
for
we're in a and while we're behaving, I'm going to take them off screen so that you can hear a piece of what South
Darn it,
Bend
why did you
Community
do
Mass
that?
Choir is doing. And you all join us next week as we deal with some
We
other
got to cut
stuff.
that.
We love
Bye,
y'all.
guys.
Bye.
Are you from the South Miami-Dade area and looking for a quality musical to join? Take a look at this.
Terrible.